welcome everybody to our first Wednesday meeting. We dreamed about this for the last year or so, doing a call like this where we could interview up-and-coming leaders, and we're just now getting around to doing it. So hopefully this will be really valuable for everybody that's listening in on the call. One quick announcement, another thing that has been new this week is our Living Well Now Tips and Testimonials group. Hopefully everybody on the call is now part of that Living Well Now Tips and Testimonials group, and make sure that you're starting to request ads for all of your customers and members, not customers, your members, whether they're building a business or not with Young Living. So that's great, because that's a place now where we can post upcoming events. It doesn't matter where we are. It doesn't matter if we're local to the Phoenix area or the group that's growing in Michigan or Indiana or New Zealand. You can go ahead and post. There's a document where you can post any up-and-coming classes that you have. I think that will be really helpful for connecting people across the United States and the world. So we are going to get started today with our very first of these. I'm so excited to be interviewing Alyssa Peterson. Alyssa and I met in college. We went to the same church. And I wouldn't say that we were necessarily friends. We were more like acquaintances. But I always remember her having a really bright smile. And if you guys know Alyssa, you know that she has a peppy personality and a bright smile and just super positive. So we reconnected, I don't even know, probably 3 years ago. Maybe I'm totally off. But we both went to our NAU reunion party at a friend's house and totally connected there. She was really naturally minded. I loved talking with her. And so we've been in touch since. But she didn't start using the oils right away. It wasn't until, well, she'll fill us in on when exactly she started using them. But I remember thinking at that party, oh my gosh, she would so love these oils. These would be right up her alley. So it's fun that she's now using the oils and growing a business. And I'm going to let her tell you guys a little bit more about that. So, and I didn't even introduce myself. This is Andrea Lehman. I'm a diamond with Young Living. We're going to be doing these calls every 2 weeks as of now, just to see how this goes. And so there will be different leaders, gold and above, who will be interviewing up-and-coming leaders. So anyway, without further ado, let me introduce to you Alyssa Peterson. Alyssa?
Thanks, Andrea, and I just feel so blessed to have you as my upline, my diamond leader, who has kind of held my hand every step of the way through this. So a little bit of background on me is about 6 years ago, I would say a little over 6 years ago, I started looking more into this natural solutions for me and my family. I had birthed my twins about 7 years ago, and they were both born pretty sick with ear infections, eye infections, sinus infections, and so I started really researching some natural solutions in replacing, some of the antibiotics and the over-the-counter meds and things like that. So that just kind of opened the door for my health journey, and I kind of dove in, head first, floaties on, just kind of went from zero to 60 overnight with, started with food and then, getting rid of the synthetic medications out of the house and things like that. And then I think it was, Andrea, about 3 years ago that we reconnected, and it was great to obviously reconnect with you. And you shared your love of the oils with me, and it was February of 2013 that I finally went to a 101 class. It was at Crossroads Books and Coffee, I believe, at 91st Avenue in Olive. And I remember the room, and I remember sitting there, yes, and my eyes were just wide open to this, because I had, for the last 4 years or so, had been researching, going down the natural health field, and I had never heard of essential oils, and so I just felt like, this is awesome. How did I not know about these? And so, you kind of had me at frankincense, I guess. And so I immediately got the kit. And, my main concern too, helping my family, but at the time, I think my son was 4 years old, and we had been seeing over the past few years some behavioral problems. And because I had started researching some natural health solutions, I definitely wanted to address those naturally. And so I had asked you before coming to the class, do you have any oils that would help address my son's behavioral problems? And you said, just come to the class and learn. And learn I did. So that was kind of my initial reason for signing up. And little did I know the impact that they were going to have on my family and myself for so many other countless things. And so that's kind of what got my foot in the door with the oils. And another really funny thing is I remember that day telling you, I said, I do not want to do this as a business. And it's just so funny and ironic because I was actually looking for an outlet to get my foot in the door to teach people about health and wellness, because for the last 4 years I had been studying and I had done hundreds of hours of research on natural health solutions. And so it was literally staring me in the face. And I was just like, this is and then
I have to stop you there really quickly, Alyssa, because at the time I didn't think this, but now when people say that, I kind of laugh inside, because so many people start off by saying, oh, I don't want to do the business. And then it turns into that accidental business. So I remember thinking, oh my gosh, she would be so good at this if she wanted to do this. Anyway, so go on.
Thank you. And so that was February of 2013, and then fast forward here, we are to 2015. And I remember calling you up or texting you. It was March of 2014, so just a little over a year after I had started being, an oil user. I remember I called you and I said, this is it for me. I want to do this. And you were elated, and you met with me, and we kind of, talked about how to get started. You gave me the 4-year career book. You gave me some tools and tips on how to get started. And so that, just because I had had so much success, not only with my son, but with being able to replace so many, I had already gotten some stuff out of the house, but being able to replace basically everything now. I had all the tools I needed for a natural healing home, and I was just so excited. I just could not share it with people. So that was the time. It was March of 2014 that I decided I am going to do this as a business. Hello? Hello, I'm here. Go ahead. Oh, I think I got cut off. Can you hear me? Oh, I can hear you. Yeah. Okay, good.
All right, so that was March of 2014, so basically a year ago. And so
over a year ago.
Okay, so tell us what happened in this first year, like maybe the first 8 months or so, 8, 9 months or so, growing your business. What were some of the key months?
Yeah, so if you guys don't know, I think you posted it, but I am a full-time working mom, 3 kids, husband. My kids are all school age, so they also have after-school activities. They're in different things. And so I think the main thing that I faced was I believed that I had to do this at a very slow pace, just because of my current circumstances with my schedule. I'm working full-time, so I only had the weekends and the evenings to be able to do this. So I kind of resolved in the very beginning, like it's just going to be slow for me. And I remember, so that was in March, and I don't even think I reached out to you until, I think, end of April to say, hey, okay, let's do a class, I guess. And so we had scheduled a class at my house. It was in May of 2014, and you came and taught the class and kind of modeled for me, how I should be doing it myself. And so that did kind of get my feet off the ground. But after that, I never taught a class. And so I think that was just me saying, okay, well, she did that for me. Great. I got some tips pulled, and I'm talking to people about it here and there, but I still wasn't really doing anything about it just because of my full-time schedule. And so I guess I would say a huge obstacle there was I wasn't really creating, I guess, a schedule with some part-time hours to be able to fit that in for me. So number one, I guess my belief that I had to do this slowly, and then, number two, I did not set, a schedule for myself that allowed me to fit some things in.
Okay. That makes sense.
And that literally was that was like the last 9 months, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
Like all of 2014.
So in your mind, your excuse was, okay, I have a full-time schedule. I have kids who are school age. They have all kinds of stuff after school. I have to build this slow. There's no other way for me to build this. And
absolutely.
And I heard somebody say it that building slow is like a slow death. So is that how it felt?
Yeah, it kind of did, because, I was so excited when we first met in March, saying, I'm going to do this. I want to do this. I know I can do this. But then it was just kind of like,
and I think this is a good time to point out, Alyssa, that you can have all the passion in the world and totally believe in the product, but if you don't decide you're going to build a business, and if you're not intentional about the steps you're taking to grow the business, you're right, it doesn't grow that fast. And you were growing, but it wasn't growing that fast.
So I guess I could actually say I was growing a hobby.
You were growing a hobby. That's what I did for 5 years. I was growing a hobby too. So it's nice to pay for your product. That's about all that growing.
And even though I knew your story, of course I knew your story, but I was doing the same thing.
I think that we all have to go through that. There has to be some shift. So let's talk about what was that shift that happened for you, because things have been different in the last few months for you. So let's hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I would say, and I'm not one to make New Year's resolutions. I actually kind of think they're kind of cheesy. But at the beginning of 2015, I actually really decided, am I going to do this or not? Am I going to be serious about this or not? So that was a huge resolution I made. And then along with some other things personally, with spending more time with my husband, and because I do stay up a little bit later, he has to get up early for work. Oftentimes, he would go to bed, and I would stay downstairs and have my relaxing time watching TV. And so I was trying to resolve, okay, I need to go to bed with my husband. Just a few different resolutions that I was making, just to grow myself as a person. And of course, young living came into that in a huge way. And so I would say a couple things. The first thing I would say is I really started to take accountability, for myself and my business. And I think what I had done those prior 8 months too is I was kind of relying on the Living Well Now corporate classes held at Rio Vista, which they're great classes, but I think I was just kind of relying on them, you guys, to just teach it, and I would just bring people rather than taking ownership of my business and saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to host classes in my house, I'm going to reach out to my downline, and I'm going to ask them to host classes for me. So I knew that I had to take a step in that direction. So I would say accountability, is a huge part of it. And then as I was thinking about this, the second thing that I think even more important than my accountability is just my belief change. I think I just have so much unbelief, and it actually reminds me of the passage in the Bible in Mark chapter 9 where the dad has a demon-possessed son, and he brings him to Jesus, and he says, Lord, I have my child is sick. He is demon-possessed. If there is anything you can do to help. And Jesus responds to the dad, and he says, if I can do anything, he says, anything is possible for him who believes. And then the father responds to Jesus, and he says, Lord, I do believe, but help me with my unbelief. And isn't that just true for so many of us? It's like, I am totally that dad, because I believed when I sat down with you in March, I believed that I could build this business, and I think it was hugely because so many of people around me were building you. Obviously, number one, it was coming true for you, and so many others on the team. But at the end of the day, that I really believed it for myself, just like this dad, that I really believed for me. And so that was the biggest shift change, is I believed it for me. This can happen for me. And then to piggyback on that, I honestly, earnestly started praying that God would bring some business builders, into my life. And within literally a month or two of each other, I had one awesome girl who will be at the senior study there tonight, who was already starting to build, and she really took off. And then another girl who I've known for years, she's just a sweet dear friend of mine, who came on board and just started building like crazy. And so God just really honored my heart, I think. And I'm just so blessed that He is blessing me. So for those reasons, the shift has really changed for me.
So cool, so cool. And I love that story. Holy cow, help me with, I believe, but help me with my unbelief, because I think so many of us, we do believe that it could happen, but when it's that deciding that I am doing this, I'm doing this.
Yeah. Do I really believe for me? Yeah. That He could do it for me.
And I tell everybody, pray for business builders, because the same thing happened with me. So when I started praying that God would bring people who wanted to do this with me into my life, it happened. And I know there's several other ones that say the same thing. I started praying for it, and it happened. So if that can be any encouragement to those of you who are listening on the call, just start praying for business builders. It's really cool to not put them to the test, so to speak, but you ask God and He's going to give it to you. So that's really cool. So tell us really quickly, and then we'll kind of end after this, but what have these last couple of months looked like? Because I know you haven't been sitting around eating bonbons. Not that you just believed and decided. What has happened? What are you doing? What does this look like for you? Because you have tell us what in terms of percentages. What has your, if you don't have this in your head, what has your business? How has it grown in the last?
No, I do. My business has grown 400% in the last 2 months. And first and foremost, I just have to give a shout out to my husband because there's no way that I would have been able to do this without his help. We've got 3 kids, lots of activities, and because I do work full time during the day, I mean, I do have to throw this in the evenings and on the weekends. And so, huge shout out to my husband and all the husbands out there who are supporting us doing this. So what I really did is, going back to that accountability thing, saying I have to do this. I've hosted a few classes at my house. I've reached out to my downline and said, I want to pour into you. And so that would be a huge tip is that I would give you guys is to pour in to your downline. If there's any interest expressed, just kind of take a hold of that and run with it. And so I've helped. I guess a huge thing that I've learned is, I know the model that we do, is that I teach, we teach, you teach. I've really come alongside a couple of my business builders, and I've really just helped them grow and seen the way that I've, stood up in front of the crowd and read the script and taught the class and shown them, have no fear, you can do this. So and it goes back to Adam Green. I mean, I went and I saw him in December, and the one huge thing that I took away from what he said was kind of don't underestimate the power of the small class in the home. And that's really what I've taken and I've run with, and I've held a ton of classes, and I've done them in homes, I've done them in coffee shops, I've done them one-on-ones, and I've just held a lot of classes and followed up with people. And then lastly, I've really just personal development, just poured into myself, and it just goes back to really believing, God help me with my unbelief, believing in me.
Awesome. So you would agree, I'm guessing, that, obviously you've worked hard over the last couple of months. So I've heard you say on several occasions and talking to you, this is so much fun. This is so awesome. I love this.
Yes.
So you would agree, even though you put in more work in the last couple of months, that growing fast is easier than growing slow? Would that be safe to say?
Oh my gosh, 100,000 times safe to say. It's just so exhilarating. It's so thrilling, to see people that you've poured into in your downline. When you log into your virtual office and you see that your OTV's gone up 500 points in one day, and it's like, from the tools that they've kind of pulled away from me that I've helped them with, because they're now pouring into people below them. So it's so thrilling, and it does not feel like work. It's the most exciting job I've ever had.
I remember so Ange and I, kind of at the same time decided, okay, we're going to really do this. And so for a little less than 2 years. Now I've got to back up. So for a year, I was working 2/3 time, and I had, my 6-month-old and 3-year-old at home. And it was really, really full. And I remember Ange and I just saying to each other, entrepreneurs are people who are willing to live a couple years of their life like nobody won't, so they can live the rest of their lives like nobody can. Hard, but with grace and ease, right? With grace and ease. Mm-hmm. But our schedules were full, but we knew that was temporary. And I look now, not that I don't still have a full schedule, but I have flexibility now that I'm not teaching anymore. And I know that ultimately is a goal for you to be able to do this full-time as well, full-time, part-time. But anyway, just helping people to see that there is some sacrifice, I guess you could say, in the beginning, and that you do have to make really good use of the little time that you have. And so how many classes have you been holding the last couple of months?
Oh my gosh. Shoot, I was prepared for this. I don't have my calendar in front of me.
Let's see, just you, like on your team, like how many classes?
On my team, sure. I mean, I would say at least 10. March, April, and then May, probably the most. Yeah, I'd say 10. So 10 at least.
And when you have that kind of momentum that's going, that momentum just continues to increase. I remember in 2012, when I came back from convention, I heard Melissa Pepin say at least 6 classes a month. make sure your schedule has at least 6 things a month if you really are serious about this and you really want to make it go for this. So that's what I did. August, 6 classes. September, 6 classes. And after September, I didn't have to schedule 6 classes anymore. I still continued to schedule several classes of my own, but my team was scheduling classes. Because remember, I paid for business builders, and they were starting to come. So I think that's a good place for us to end. I thank you so much. I think that you gave people a lot of really valuable things to think about and to implement and put into practice as they continue to grow their businesses. I would ask that those of you who are on the call today, if you would go and just leave a little word of encouragement for Alyssa, something that you appreciated or what she shared on the event page. That would be really awesome. Alyssa, thank you so much. Love having you on my team. You're awesome. And I'll see you in a little bit at the Senior Star Dinner.
Okay, I hope to see some of you there too. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.